John had been at Clemens Point for a couple of nights now. Last night in his dreams, Arthur visited him and told him to grow up, be a man, and get back home and look after that family. And make Uncle work his goddamn ass off and forget about his lumbago. John was actually feeling in good spirits and was really willing to give it a go to sober up as much as he can, whilst keeping the demon at bay. He decided to head on back to Beechwrs Hope. He missed his family. John felt real uneasy all of a sudden. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up on end. He felt as though he was being watched from inside the trees. Someone, something, was pursuing him. He didn't want to dawdle around there. It wasn't a very safe area to confront whatever or whoever it was that was pursuing him. But he knew that someone was out there watching him, watching his every move. He decided to ride on for a bit. The paranoia still followed him. He decided to have a drink to try and ease the anxiety. He tried to socialize with people that he passed.
Howdy, partner.
Hey, partner!
But just came across as awkward, nervous, and intimidating. The hairs continued to stand on their end on John's neck, so he pulled up in hopes if he could find somewhere off the road, secluded and hidden, where he could survey the area a little better. He pulled up to some boulders and decided now here was a good spot.
Slow it!
He called his horses in out of the way, there, at least they couldn't be seen from the roadside. John wanted a good vantage point, so he climbed up on the big boulder and had a look out. He couldn't see anything with the naked eye. He still felt uneasy, so he decided to have another swig of alcohol, try and calm his nerves. Something was definitely out there watching him, but what was it? Who was it? And what did they want? John was feeling uneasy now. All he wanted to do was get home. He'd been thinking of it all day. Now that something was pursuing him, it wasn't such a good idea to head home with something on his tail. God knows what he'd lead back to Jack and Abigail. He could hear a commotion coming from the trees now, so he decided he'd better get his guns from the horse. His trusty steed tried to shield him. He had to tell him to go back.
Get on.
He'd grown up quite a bond with that horse. He looked into the trees, and there they were. What looked like bounty hunters were on his tail. Bounty hunters he could deal with. But how many were there? He didn't know. John decided he'd better have a look around and see who these folks were, who they were associated with. He decided to look around and found out they were bounty hunters. So he decided to head on up to the cabin at Aurora Basin. He'd been at Aurora Basin for a couple of hours now tonight. Hadn't managed to get any sleep when he heard a commotion, and of course, the bounty hunters were back. Bounty handlers had tracked him down to Aurora cabin. He had taken a bullet to the leg, so he needed to sit down and patch that up. If there were any bounty hunters chasing after him today, then there would be more on their way for sure. Now, he wasn't sure where to go. He couldn't stay here. Obviously, they already knew he was here. Pain was kicking in now, so he had a drink of what alcohol he had, some gin. And he decided to smoke some herbal that someone had given him. Pain medicine, they called it. It's been here for a couple hours now. It's now coming up 4 o'clock in the morning. John couldn't sleep. His leg was painful. He ducked outside in the cold, brisk air for a cigarette. And that's when he thought he'd better look into the trees to see how things were. And again, more bounty hunters. These guys were relentless. They weren't going to give in. John had already taken a shot to the leg. And the pain was bearable, but there. John decided he needed to dispatch these guys and figure out a plan on what he was going to do, or he was just going to be inundated with bounty hunters. He found a note from one of the bounty hunters. They'd been assigned from the Pinkertons. So the Pinkertons were after him as well. He could not lead them back to his family. He had to figure out a plan. Where was he going to go? He knew of a place not far from here, just down the road a bit. But if the Pinkertons were watching him out there, then they've got the roads covered. He sat down for a little bit and pondered what to do. He missed his family but couldn't put them in danger. His whole day had been planning to get to his family, but now he couldn't get there. He tried to ride off out of camp, but was cut off straight away. The bounty hunters had blocked the road off. It led into the forest. He had to try and hold up somewhere and take care of him. His leg was starting to hurt. He took cover behind a boulder and waited it out. Hopefully they wouldn't see him. He'd already spilled a lot of blood today.
When I find you, you're gonna squeal like a stuck pig. There he is. Gonna make shit, this fight's not worth it. You're one son of a bitch. Preacher for you. You can stop your hand. We got you tracked.
John's leg had been busted open again. It was pretty bad this time. He had to get to camp, the camp that he was looking for, Bear Claw Camp. An old abandoned camp around the ways. Hopefully he could get there on time. His leg was starting to really hurt now. That dog took a mighty chunk out of his ankle. He decided Bear Claw was the best idea. He just had to hope he could make it there. How many bounty hunters had come after him already in the past 24 hours? It never seemed to stop. John tried to ease the pain with some alcohol. He needed to set up camp somewhere and really mend it properly. He headed off into the woods, hoping to keep off the road. Would he make it to Bear Claw Camp on time? Find out next time on The Life of John.